Good day. GE with a word here. This is the third of a three-part series on how to deal with a crisis. My friend, everyone has a crisis at some point in life, and usually more than one. Your crisis may be a family or a spouse or a child's death. Could be a diagnosis of some really bad or disease or condition. It could be financial, a job loss, debilitating accident, house fire, or 1,000 other things. Whatever it is, you're going to experience crises in your life. Now, how you handle these crises has a huge impact on your joy, your outlook, and relations with your family, on your job, at school, and with the public. Now, here's something very important. Christians should be better able to handle crises than anyone else with what I call crisis faith. In the first message on this subject, we learned that crisis faith goes to God. There are other resources to aid in a crisis. I know that, secular aids, but a Christian's first action should be to go to God. In the second message, we learned that crisis faith listens to God. We're to listen to learn God's truth while eliminating other influences such as feelings and horoscopes and many other things. In this message, we learned that crisis faith trusts God. We're looking at Habakkuk chapter 3. Remember, Habakkuk saw the depravity of his own people in Judah and the upcoming invasion and destruction of Judah by the godless Chaldeans. He questioned God. He mourned over the sins of his people. He lamented the fact of the evil Chaldeans destroying his beloved nation. Through it all, he trusted God, because crisis faith trusts God. In chapter 3, Habakkuk's faith shines through crisis faith. And despite his human limitations and perplexity, Habakkuk trusted God. And because of his example, we learn three rock-solid, comforting, and strengthening reasons to trust God in a crisis. We first of all see that crisis faith trusts God with proof from the past. In verses 1 through 15, Habakkuk is rehearsing what God had done for Israel in bringing them out of Egypt, his care and his miracles. Let me just read verse 12. Thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. Now, Habakkuk remembered that God had performed miracles and done mighty things, provided food and drink, and gave strength and guidance for the Israelites. And what he was saying is, God, you've done it before. You did it before. You can do it again. How about you? Don't you remember how God has brought you through some hard times? I certainly do. Haven't you seen him work wonders in the lives of others? I certainly have, and I believe that you have as well. And so we see that crisis faith trusts God with proof from the past. We also see that crisis faith trusts God with power for the present. Let me read verse 16. He says, when I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. Now, what Habakkuk is saying here is, yes, he was scared. He was in a crisis, and there were things going on in his life that were very difficult. But what he is saying is that he might be scared in his crisis, but he would not be scared of his crisis. There's a big difference. We are sometimes scared in our crisis, but we should not be afraid or scared of our crises. We are to find strength and rest in our crises, even if we tremble in the midst of them. We are to wait patiently and peacefully now, even if we tremble in the waiting. So we see that crisis faith has power for the present. We also see that crisis faith trusts God with peace about the future. I'm going to read 17 through 19, verses 17 through 19. It says, although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall there be fruit in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the field shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. And yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. The Lord God is my strength, and he will make my feet like hinds' feet, and he will make me to walk upon mine high places. Now in these verses, we find Habakkuk saying this: no matter what happens, God is who I've got, what I've got, and all I've got. He's everything to me. I can trust him for the future. Every Christian, you, my friend, should be able, when a crisis comes into your life, to say, no matter what happens, God is who I've got, what I've got, all I've got. He's everything to me, and he is able for the crises in my life. Let me conclude with this. My friend, is some kind of crisis going on in your life right now that's causing anxiety, tearing you apart inside, making you lose your joy and peace? As I said before, I know there are resources in this world to help you, but you need to do three things first. You need to go to God, you need to listen to God, and you need to trust God. He is the answer. May God bless and guide you this day and in those to come.